Joining me in the studio is Douglas Herbert, our international affairs commentator. Douglas, 24 hours ago, there was much worry in Brussels that there would be an inability to reach an agreement on this deal. They've managed to do it. So just talk us through some of the key points.
Yeah, and this is what Macron was talking about. It was a compromise, but a significant compromise, and it's nothing to sneeze at, what they did manage to do, even though you have a lot of skeptics out there who say it's far from enough. They went into this summit, the European leaders, basically with the fundamental question, existential almost. How do you punish Russia for its war of aggression against Ukraine without having that punishment, those sanctions, boomerang back at you and actually end up hurting parts of the European economy even more? That was a fundamental question. How do you do it? He says they've come a long way. You mentioned this sort of opt-out for a couple of countries, a carve-out, Hungary and Slovakia and the Czech Republic. They will be able to continue receiving their oil via a pipeline. It's a Soviet-era pipeline. It's called the Druzhba. It's been there for years and years and years. Seaborne imports of Russian oil, those will be prohibited. But what Macron did mention, and he seemed rather gung-ho about this, is the fact that Germany and Poland, of their own volition, voluntarily, are saying that by the end of this year, they will also cut off all of their imports of Russian oil, even via pipelines. They get oil through the same pipeline that Hungary does, but just a northern section of it. Hungary and Slovakia, Czech Republic get it through a southern part of that pipeline. Hungary gets it, Germany and Poland get it through a northern part. So that would bring up to over 90%, as Macron put it. I had heard the figure 90% of Russian oil imports by the end of this year would effectively be cut off. Macron said today 92%. So he was really crunching the numbers there and trying to put the best spin on this possible. But like I said, it's nothing to sneeze at. It is not enough. There's still no gas sanctions on Russia, probably won't be in the near future. And you still don't know what's going to happen with the remaining 8 to 10% of oil that still will be imported into Europe. Russia still continues to receive about €1 billion in revenues a day for its oil. Oil prices are very high right now. That's helping it a lot. So a big step at the summit. Macron tried to stress that, saying Europe is really taking the first step in revamping, overhauling the way it receives its energy. So that's a big step, but it's still missing a lot of pieces.
Now, the other point of discussion today in Brussels is the fact that Europe itself is starting to face food shortages, and you and I have talked about this. Even in Paris supermarkets, you will see over the cereals aisle signs saying due to the war in Ukraine, these products are no longer available. So what were they talking about, and what were they hoping to achieve?
They were talking about the food insecurity that you were just saying, and even worse than what we're facing here in Europe. There are countries, Libya, Tunisia, Egypt, Yemen, the list goes on. Lebanon, India. Lebanon and India alone receive almost 80% each of their wheat from Ukraine. Ukraine literally is the breadbasket for these countries. And in many of the poorer countries, and we also have to look in sub-Saharan Africa, there's literally a threat of starvation for tens of millions of people if they do not get some sort of food security and insurance. They'll get this grain. 20 million tons of grain is piling up in depots at Ukrainian ports. Why can't it get out? Because those ports are now either under Russian control or being blockaded by Russian ships. And the sea that they would sail through, those ships, the Black Sea, is often mined. So what is the Europeans trying to do? And this is something else they talked about, alternative routes out via land, trying to get some of that grain out, at least several million tons of it via land routes in Europe. Very complicated in that. They're not going to solve it all in a day. But Macron was very clear here that when it comes to the food insecurity as well, this summit did make strides, and it is trying to come together. He even proposed right now a UN resolution to try to resolve the blockade of the port of Odessa.
Doug Herbert, thank you for that analysis.